Hi everyone, Howie Jacobson here with the Checkmate method, how to dominate your market with game over advertising. This is the matinee performance on October 30th. This and all the other Checkmate webinars have been sponsored by Virtual Camp Checkmate, which is an online course that starts on November 6th and runs for 7 weeks. And if you haven't signed up, you should, maybe. Tomorrow is the last day you can get the early bird discount, which I'll talk about at the very end. The purpose of this webinar is, quite frankly, to show off what Checkmate is and what Checkmate does so that you will want to get the whole thing. So with that, I am known as the Google AdWords for Dummies guy. I've written a lot of books about AdWords, and really I've come to Checkmate through AdWords. But it's morphed far beyond that. It's become a method of whenever you're in a market where the dynamic is people are shouting, people are hyping, people are struggling for attention in a marketplace where there's lots of competitors all saying pretty much the same thing. Checkmate is the way out of that bind. So I just want to talk a little bit about the word dominate, which is the language I've been using to promote Checkmate, because it's sort of an appealing thing, dominate your market. And I've got to say that it's a military metaphor, and I think it can do a lot of harm. So yes, we're going to talk about dominating the market, but we're not going to go in with a domination mindset. We're not going to go in thinking we're going to crush our competition, we're going to blitz them, we're going to beat them in campaigns, none of this military stuff, because when you're doing that, you're focusing on an enemy and you're focusing on the wrong thing. So I just want to put that out there as we get into what Checkmate really is and the mindset that is most conducive to Checkmate success. And I do not think it is about domination, about being better than, over, superior to anyone else, nor is it about the opposite, submission and inferiority. Instead, it's about connection. So that's what we're going to talk about and demonstrate, hopefully, today. So the Google search results page is the scene on the right in Gone with the Wind at the Wilkes Plantation, the picnic near the beginning. Scarlett OHara, the lady on the left, is the most beautiful and sought-after belle in the South, and all these young men want to be her husband. They're all her suitors, and they all look the same, dress the same, talk the same. Their haircuts are pretty much the same. They laugh at the same jokes, and when she wants a piece of cake, they all fall over themselves trying to get it for her, and she's utterly bored with all of them. And she has no means of making a decision because they're all the same. And what happens is, in a situation like that, she defaults to the first guy who looks different. They're all the same, and she can't decide. And so she ends up with anyone who is the slightest bit different, which is the scoundrel Rhett Butler, who is pretty abusive, and it did not end happily. Whenever you get into a relationship with someone whose last words are, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," you probably made a wrong turn somewhere. So the tragedy of Scarlett picking the wrong guy could have been avoided had one of those young men understood the Checkmate method. And because here's the big problem. So maybe none of them had the creativity to do anything different. But suppose one of them had come up with a slightly different strategy to get her affection and attention and affection. Well, there's lots of things you could do to get someone else's attention, but they might not be good things. Because the problem is, everyone's pretty much doing the same thing because it's the best practice. So everyone's wearing their lapels just so and having their hair cut just so and all that stuff just so, because that's what they've been taught works. And at one point it did work, but now everyone's doing it and it doesn't anymore. So now the challenge is, how do you be relevant and appealing while being different? What if one of these suitors had shown up with a mohawk and a muscle shirt and a tattoo and a nose ring? That sure would have been different, but in 1860 Atlanta, it probably wouldn't have gone over that well. Rhett Butler is probably about as different as you could get and still be acceptable as a suitor. So keywords are really important to the Checkmate process. So we're going to be working on the keyword IRS Audit Help. And I want you to understand that it's not just 3 words. So here we have a scene from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. The crew of the Enterprise has returned to 20th century Earth in order to save the universe, and Scotty, the engineer, has to get some data out of a classic Macintosh computer. So what he does is he says to the computer, "Computer, computer," and of course it doesn't respond. It's not as sentient as the computer on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. So he starts talking louder and louder and getting more frustrated. Dr. McCoy suggests he pick up the mouse, which might be a microphone of some sort. So here you can see him hopefully speaking, "Computer, computer," into the mouse. Finally, the 20th century Earthling in the middle gets exasperated and says, "Just use the keyboard." And Scotty looks at the keyboard with disdain, cracks his knuckles, and says, "How quaint." And if you think about it, that's what Google is for us. If someone, imagine someone who's about to type in IRS audit help. What has just happened to them? What's going on for them? What do they want to talk about? Do they just want to say those 3 words, IRS audit help, or do they want to say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I've just been audited for the 5th year in a row," or maybe "I'm audited for the first time. I'm really nervous. Is this, first of all, I hope we didn't do anything wrong. Second of all, you know, I got a new accountant this year, and he sold me on being much more aggressive. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me." And another thing, even if we've done nothing wrong, what kind of expense is this going to be in just terms of time and preparation? And oh my God, I'm really scared. And my sister's brother-in-law went to jail, and blah, right? That's what goes through your head when you're facing an IRS audit. But Google doesn't want to hear any of that. Google's not like, you know, "Yeah, tell me your troubles." Google is like, "Use the keyboard. Give me 3 words, 4 at the max." And so you have to understand that all those desires, all those fears, all those wants, all those needs, all those concerns are compressed into that tiny keyword phrase. And it's our job, it's our responsibility to decompress them if we want to understand what people are really on about, what they're really thinking. And so that's what we're going to do in this exercise. And now there's lots of different people who could type in IRS audit help. It's not just one type of customer. So what we have to figure out is who's the ideal customer for this tax attorney? Who's the ideal customer for someone who is both an accountant and a lawyer and who deals with these particular issues? Maybe it's a small business or a large business. Maybe it's a household. Maybe it's a business that has a lot of holdings in offshore companies, and there's going to be definite ideal fit. And you want to make sure that your ad is targeted towards that perfect fit in the middle, the ideal customer, as opposed to everybody else who's also typing that keyword who probably isn't your perfect customer. And so what we're going to do is write game over ads. And the definition of a game over ad is that it attracts the ideal customer, it repels or is invisible to everybody else, and it prepares the ideal customer for a good experience on the landing page. So they get there and they say, "Yes, this is what I was looking for." So what those do, why is this so important, especially in a search marketing context? Because if you get more of the right clicks, which is to say increasing the right click-through rate, CTR, if you get fewer of the wrong clicks, lowering the wrong CTR, that means more of the people who come to your website are going to convert, and fewer of the people who are not going to convert are going to end up on your website. And what that does, without changing a thing on your website, is it increases the conversion rate by improving the match between the message on your landing page and the market you're attracting. So we're going to do Checkmate right now. So I have to say, Checkmate works with a whole bunch of things. It's not just ads. And in the course, we deal with a lot of these other elements of your marketing message. And it also works when you're not doing AdWords at all. I've had people take a live Camp Checkmate course who had never heard of AdWords before. They were just people, they were interested in marketing, and they heard about me from someone, and they showed up. And even though they're not likely ever to use AdWords, it's a method, as I said, that works anywhere there is competition that is shouting itself hoarse to be heard over the din, over the collective clutter. And this is a way of being different, of sidestepping all that clutter. So today we're going to do ad writing, and so we're going to start with a keyword, and the keyword today is going to be IRS audit help. So what we're going to do is take a look at the Google search results page for that keyword, and then we're going to do a quick matrix. So let's see if I can pull this up here. Right. So what do you see when we look at this? Before we do a matrix, let's just take a quick look. And Pete, you're unmuted. You can speak. Anyone else, just take a look and tell me your observations. Just type them into the question box, please. So let's start with really, really basic stuff. Are there advertisers here?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a lot. And there's advertisers on the right, and there's advertisers in the center on the top, which tells me this is a premium market. Anna writes, there's too many choices. So it certainly seems a little bit overwhelming. So fast help on the right. Looking for it. See the word fast at the bottom right. So undergoing a tax audit, solutions, IRS tax audit defense. How many of these are local? It looks like only one of them is local, but none of them is doing a local. So is your client, do they serve a national market, Pete?
Well, we are going to be starting local. As far as my idea for an AdWords campaign would be to start local within Los Angeles, and then expand out nationally.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to start in LA, but the ultimate market is anywhere. So it doesn't have to be someone within driving distance of his office.
No, it doesn't at all. It's just more a matter of controlling the AdWords budget at the beginning and finding out what works and what doesn't work. That's the main reason. Very
good. Okay. So the reason I'm asking about that is for ad writing purposes, we want to make sure if one of the differentiators is going to be I'm local, others are not, then we would want to get that into the ads. But it looks like that's not the end game.
No.
Okay, great. So let's go back to the matrix, and let's quickly go through what some of these are. We don't have to do all of it, but just to give you an idea of how to look at the search results page. Because when we looked at it for just a few minutes, it seemed pretty overwhelming. So Anna writes too many choices. Pete, you found one thing. Most people on this call didn't write anything. It's just like, wow, that's just a lot of stuff there. So let's take a look at some things that are common to a good direct response advertisement. Let's start with the offer. The offer means what you're going to get. So it's a sort of a tangible thing that this is I'm actually going to receive something, and I know what it is. And then we'll look at features, are the facts, the details about that offer, and benefits are why that is a good thing for me. So now let's go back to our page here and tell me, do you see any offers? Where something you look at it and you understand what you're getting.
We've got free consultation down there on the right. Do you want me to verbally comment on this, or okay?
Yeah, your other people, please type things in, because the audio system breaks down if there's too many people unmuted at once. But Pete, you feel free to be in conversation. Other people, when you see stuff, just type it in. So if we go through here, so solutions, audit help. I don't see an offer. It's implied, but it's not specific. A free consultation here on the second one is definitely an offer. Another one, free consultation. Here, government programs just available. So help, that's a little bit amorphous. Defend you against the IRS. So that sounds like, there's two different offers here. One is we will defend you, and I don't know if that's a specific, like, in a court, in an IRS court, and there's a free consultation. Here the offer is a free quote. Here there's no offer. Here it's a free face-to-face consultation. So there's the local angle there. So that's good enough. So now features. What features do we see? And I encourage folks who are just looking at this to killed my iPhone. So the folks who are looking to type things in, it will help you to become proficient with the matrix. So let's again start at the top here. So 15-day guarantee and Better Business Bureau accredited are both features. Since 1988 is a feature.
Oh, okay.
CPAs. So we have CPAs. Somebody else has, clowns and ponies. We have CPAs. So, it's not that this is a feature that is particularly, amazing, but here's a feature, the price, and both the price and the fact that it's a flat fee. Experts. We have experts. That's a feature. Consultation is free, and that you can do it today are all features. So now let's look at benefits. A benefit is why the person typing this search query cares about that feature. So do we see any benefits? Here, solve your IRS debt tax problems. That's a benefit. End your IRS debt. So this one I see is a benefit. So here it's got let our experts defend you against the IRS, which you might think is a benefit, but it's actually a feature. So here they're going to defend you. Here you're going to solve your problems and end your debt. I'm looking to see resolve your IRS audit, says Jeff. Let me find that one. Yep, right here. CPAs will resolve your IRS audit. So resolve, that's pretty good. I mean, I guess they could resolve it against you as well as for you, but that's still, the idea of make it end. Good catch there. I don't see much else. So let's go back to here. Is there a call to action? Is there a reason to believe, a credibility factor? And is this ad different from the other ads in any way? So let's go back and take a look at call to action, reason to believe, or big difference. So call to action. Here's the word get. Get a free consult. Yep.
Oh, call us today.
Yep. So there's a bunch of those. Free consultation today. So it could either be a verb like get or call. Get fast help. So this is this is unusual. I seldom see so many calls to action on a search results page. So this is a very, very aggressive type of page. So it's something I didn't notice before doing the matrix, but now that I've done it, there's a lot of people, it's like you're in a bazaar and you're walking in between the two stalls, on the row, and people keep on like trying to grab you and have you come into their store. So call to action is a pretty aggressive feature, especially when lots of people are doing it. Call today, so that's something I didn't notice before. Credibility factor, a reason to believe. So I'll start us off with Better Business Bureau accredited. Anyone who uses the word expert is attempting to get a belief. An 800 phone number can help with, just putting a phone number can make people believe you. CPAs, says Jet, absolutely. Again, since 1998, they've been doing this for 14 years. So saying new government programs just available, that to me is a credibility builder because you're allying with an official organization. You're saying that I have knowledge of them. I'm kind of in the loop here. Expert, locally owned and operated could be a credibility booster. You feel like they're not a fly-by-night operation. And here we got a big credibility builder, A+ rated with Better Business Bureau. And the next one is big difference. So is there any ad here that stands out as being completely different from the other ads in terms of what it's offering, in terms of how it's saying it? Or are they all pretty much saying the same thing? So type in if you think they're all saying the same thing, just type that in. And Pete, of course, you're welcome to just comment. Anybody else, if you see anything that stands out to say, this one caught my eye because it's different in some way. So Jeff sees the $499 flat fee as different. It's the only one. It's the only one that says a price.
Well, also 15-day guarantee at the very top.
Right, 15-day guarantee. So the word guarantee is a differentiator there. We're not sure for what. Anna says local is handy. So I agree. Nick says they all look the same to him. I kind of agree. We're finding these differences, but I think we're sort of like, chickens pecking through the straw looking for bugs. I don't think anything is like, standing out. Glenn says how to resolve a tax debt. Seems a bit different. So,
but that's
how to resolve tax debt.
So
that's, yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, one of the things that I've worried a little bit about in kind of going through all this is that we would not want to, informational. There are some of these websites that are informational.
Yep.
And that one sounds a little bit more like an informational, like somebody who's out looking for information, which is not really the kind of person I would think you'd want to be clicking on your ads.
Right. Well, that's a very important decision you have to make. So is your ideal customer someone who is just looking for help, looking for a knight in shining armor to unsheath his sword and do battle with the dragon of the IRS? Or are they trying to figure out their options? Because if someone's trying to figure out their options and they'll click on an ad that says, here's how to do it, they may, if someone, I wrote a 408-page book about Google AdWords, and I figured, like, that's more than anybody needs to know. Why would anybody ever pay me after I wrote that book? They could just look it up. And the truth is, the more information you give away, the more people go, oh, well, you know it, you do it. So that, that's something you'll have to decide, whether the person who needs help right away is your ideal prospect. And that was something that Dean wrote. It says, it depends on what you're searching for. So that's absolutely right. So what we're going to do right now, Pete, is let's invent an avatar, an ideal customer for because right now we're looking at this in a very theoretical way. We're not looking at it from the point of view of a real person. So we're going to invent a real person. So if you've ever seen the movie Avatar, not to be too much of a spoiler, but basically the humans are trying to get the mineral rights for a planet that is inhabited by tall, sexy blue people called Na'vi. And one of their technologies is a human can get into this pod and then kind of become a Na'vi. They get an avatar body through which they can interact with the world on this planet, and in which they can perceive the world on this planet. And they're doing it so that they can develop enough of an appreciation and understanding for this culture so that they can out-negotiate them. And what happens is the human who takes on this responsibility finds that after spending a lot of time as a Na'vi in their world, that he not only understands them well enough to negotiate with them, but he actually starts identifying with them and seeing their point of view and appreciating their culture and ultimately falling in love with them and their culture. And when push comes to shove and the humans and the Na'vi are in conflict, he ends up, well, I don't want to spoil it, but the point is that by becoming an avatar, he was able to understand them so well that he became one of them. And that's the position I want each of you to be in when you are marketing. Not in a position of domination, but in a position of deep empathy and understanding. So we're going to do that right now. Pete, we're going to create, and let's go for it. So actually, before we go there, I want you to. So you're an athlete, right? So you're used to being in tune with your body. So why don't you just sort of, are you sitting right now in front of a computer?
I definitely am.
Okay, so just feel your body sitting there. So we've been very heady, just talking thoughts and concepts. So let's remember, and everyone can just go through this with me. Remember that we have a body too, and just notice how your body is sitting. Are you sitting back in the chair, leaning forward, more or less straight up and down, or slumped to one side? How's the weight going on your legs? Are your feet flat on the floor? Is a leg tucked under? Are you giving your whole weight to the ground, to the chair? Or are you sort of lifted up, a little clenched? What's your breathing like? Is it slow or fast, shallow or deep? Going, mouth or nose? And as you notice it, if anything wants to shift, you can let it. And as you continue sort of just noticing into your body, I'll just say the reason I do this is that we're about to take on another body, to take on the avatar. And so I want you to be clear about what is your baseline, so you don't end up projecting that onto the avatar. So this will become the noise that you can filter out when you move into the signal of the avatar. So Pete, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I want you to now imagine that you are about to type in the keyword IRS Audit Help as somebody else. So now think of somebody else sitting at the keyboard about to type in the word. So first of all, I want you to tell me their name.
Oh, gosh. John Reynolds.
Okay, John Reynolds. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. Okay, so we'll call him John. And so in what year was John Reynolds born?
I would say he was born in 1968.
1968. So he's 44 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start right there. So you're John Reynolds. You've just typed in IRS Audit Help, and you're 44 years old. And so right now, notice, John, what your body's doing. Has it, a long time ago you were Pete. You had a certain tonus, a certain way of being. As John Reynolds about to type this keyword in, has anything shifted for you? And you don't have to answer, just sort of notice. Are your hands tighter? Is your breathing changed? Are your eyes either less focused or more squinty? Sort of allow yourself to become, on a physical level, John Reynolds.
Okay.
All right, you there?
I'm there.
Okay, great. So I'm going to ask you questions, John, and I'd like everybody else who's listening to ask questions too. And we're going to start not with questions about the IRS or about the search or about your tax problems or anything like that. We're just going to find out a little bit about you, some interesting stuff. So first of all, where do you live?
I live in Los Angeles, West LA.
Okay.
It's not really where I live, but I live in more over in East LA, but we'll
Who's
say
speaking?
West LA.
Who's
Yeah,
speaking?
John Reynolds lives in West Los Angeles.
Okay, so for the next few minutes, you will answer to John.
Yep.
So you live in West LA. Who do you live with?
My girlfriend,
Okay, what's her name?
Stephanie.
Okay, cool. And were you married before?
No,
No, so you're bachelor living with your girlfriend, Stephanie. Cool. Was she married before? Does she have kids from a previous relationship?
no.
No. Okay, so it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional in the marketing department of a technology corporation.
Okay, you're in the marketing department of a tech company. And how long have you been there?
About 8 years.
8 years. Okay, what did you do before that?
I was also in the marketing department of a different company, also a tech company, um, a, uh, let's say a distribution company.
Okay. Okay. And do you like your work?
Yeah, I do like it. It's kind of frenetic, but I like it.
Okay. Do you work long hours?
Long hours, high pressure. Um, it's to some degree it's commission based, commission salary plus commission, so high pressure, a lot of intensity.
Okay. Cool. What do you do for fun when you're not working?
Well, of course I work out a little bit, not a lot. I do have a gym membership, and I like to stay in shape
Okay.
uh, to a degree.
Okay. That doesn't sound like a hobby, though. It sounds more like a chore. Is that? Would you characterize it as that? Like, do you go to the gym to kind of get away from it all, or just because it's something you feel you should do?
Well, I go there to get away from it all. It's something I feel I should do, and it helps at my age keep me reasonably attractive, I suppose, or at least as best as I can be. And
Okay.
um, you know, yeah.
Is being attractive important to you?
Yeah, being no, I would say not to some degree, to a degree. It's not all that important. Being successful is more important by far than being attractive.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, what other hobbies or books you like to read, or movies, or how do you relax? Like, when you're done working, you're at home.
We like to go out to dinner a lot, and we like to go to movies. Once every couple of weeks, maybe.
Okay. Cool. And do you watch TV?
Not a lot.
Okay. And how about reading?
Not a lot of reading either.
Okay. Cool. So when you say being successful is really important to you, what do you do to stay successful?
I work really hard, and I'm very focused on my job, and and that's really kind of the most. I've got a lot of drive as far as my work is concerned to uh, to be successful and to make to make a good salary. And yeah, I'm kind of a young, competitive, driven kind of a guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask about what the motivation is. So there is a competitive streak
Yeah.
in you. So you like being the best getting
Yeah.
better numbers than other people?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you say you're not into athletics. When you were a kid, were you into sports?
Not really. I didn't like it that much. I did do some just because all the other kids did too, but wasn't really anything I was passionate about.
So what was your uh, outlet for your competitive streak when you were younger, before you had this career?
Well, I sort of always felt driven. Again, I'm speaking now as whoever this avatar is. I was always,
John.
had an entrepreneurial streak. I like to set up stands out, the Kool-Aid stands and stuff like that. And I was thinking about ways of making money and trading things in school with my friends and
Was that ever an issue in terms of popularity, that you were more of a money geek than an in kid or a football player, or you had kind of a different value system than maybe?
Well, I was very social, and so I interacted with people a lot, and was kind of like, but always had this kind of thing of like putting, I don't want to say necessarily deals together, but just kind of even socially, I liked hanging out with the other guys. I had a lot of friends. We did a lot of things together. Had a lot of fun, but it was pretty high intensity.
And even at that young age, did you kind of understand that what you were doing was going to be something that was a useful skill set in business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that feeling that you were savvy at a young age. What was your exposure to business when you were little?
Oh, gosh. I'll have to think about that one for.
No, just make some shit up.
Huh? I'll just make it up. Okay.
We don't want any thinking here.
Well, I had some relatives, not my immediate family, but I had an uncle who was extremely successful as a businessman, and he had a really cool life, a life that was that I admired a lot. He's very
which side of your family is your uncle on? Mother or father?
Mother's side.
Mother's side. And so you said your dad, your immediate family wasn't in business. Did you feel? I mean, were you comfortable growing up? Did you, in terms of money, did you feel like you could always have used a little bit more?
Oh yeah, well we were comfortable, but not really, just straight middle class. We didn't need for anything. We had what we needed, but we weren't wildly affluent either.
Right. Was there ever some tension in the fact that you kind of looked up to your uncle as opposed to your dad in terms of a career model?
Not really, because I kept that to myself. I admire my father for other reasons, but
okay. Yeah, so this is sort of like a secret rich dad, poor dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I admire my dad, but not necessarily for his career achievements.
Uh-huh. So what were the most important money lessons you learned as a child that have helped you be successful?
Well, if you work really hard and you stay alert to what is going on in the world around you and what people are interested in and what they want, that you can you can get yourself in a position where you sort of facilitate that for them, like selling. It's fun to sell. I think it's fun to sell things to people, to find out what they're looking for, and then give them the solution for that, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy doing that because I feel like I'm helping people, helping people acquire what they need and want.
Right. Okay, so I can see a lot of how you're good at bringing money in. How good are you at managing it, at handling it? Not blowing it.
Not so good, really. This is a weak area. I tend to spend pretty much everything I make. I love new cars. I love fast cars. I like going out to expensive restaurants. And so as a result, I kind of push the limits. I'm somebody who tends to push the limits a little bit, and just count on have confidence in my ability to keep that income coming in so that I never run too short.
Gotcha. So I'm going to open this up. I really would love other people to ask questions of John. Just type them in, and I will field them for you. While I'm waiting, I'm curious about your like who you admire. Some sort of any public figure that I would know of, people that you look up to.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yes. And back in the day, Bill Gates.
So the real competitive winners.
Mm-hmm.
Who made good stuff.
Is that a question?
Right. Well, I was saying, so it's not just there's lots of rich people, but these guys both got rich making stuff. They weren't
making stuff, yeah.
They were technology pioneers.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Jane, wonderful question. I just want to hold on to that for a little bit before presenting it, so we can put it into a context. What's your sort of political philosophy?
You're
conservative. Okay.
Yeah, very very entrepreneurial. Believe in small business, and so people that support small business, they're my kind of politicians. People who are hostile to business, I don't like them. Gotcha.
And does that conservatism also tend into sort of social conservatism? By that I mean specifically, like thinking that that people shouldn't get handouts, and that dependency creates bad habits and things like that.
Oh yeah, I definitely believe that welfare and sort of transfer payments from producers to people who aren't producers is not helpful in the long run to the non-producers. But I'm socially pretty liberal in other areas.
Gotcha. Okay, and so now let's get to why you just typed in IRS audit help. What's going on?
I just got a letter in the mail saying that my tax return from last year or year before is going to be audited.
Were you surprised by this letter?
I was surprised because my understanding was that your percentages of getting audited are somewhere between 1% and 3% maybe, and so I figured the odds. I was pretty aggressive with my deductions. Let's say very aggressive, and I was just playing the odds, and now the odds worked against me here, and I gotta handle this quick.
So you think it wasn't just a random audit? Do you think you were flagged for some of your aggressive deductions?
That's my guess. I don't know that yet, but that is my guess.
All right. Who prepared your taxes last year?
I have a tax preparer. He's not really a CPA. He was recommended to me by somebody, and and I told him, and I said, I don't want to do anything illegal, but I definitely, where the gray areas are, I'd like to, I would like. In other words, I kind of instructed him, let's be as aggressive as we can, hopefully without raising red flags, but let's stay within the limits of the law.
Gotcha. So you just got this letter yesterday or today, you said?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. So I'll come back to Jane's question now. What's your biggest fear about this?
Well, my fear is really of the unknown. I have no idea how this process works. I definitely I'm concerned that they may find something that maybe crossed a line that I wasn't aware of, where I'll get hit with a big penalty. or fine, and I don't know what those would be either. I made a fair amount of money last year, maybe somewhere close to $200,000. So I'm just worried about the unknownness of it all.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you don't have a ton put away in case this is a big hit.
No, that's very true. I don't.
Okay, so what are you looking for right now? What do you hope to find when you're searching for IRS audit help?
Well, I want to find somebody who can see me now, and that's number one, because I'm really anxious about this. This has got me almost at a level of where I might even need to take a pill to relax and go to sleep tonight. So I definitely want somebody who I can see or talk to either on the phone or in person quickly, and somebody in whom I can quickly develop a level of confidence that they'll be able to solve my problem.
Gotcha. So I'm curious about something. I want you to be as honest as you can about it. So there's two elements that I see to this situation. One is you may have been overly aggressive in your deductions and done some things without proper counsel. And the other is you've spent all your money, so you won't be in a position to really absorb a big penalty or fine. First, which of those statements hits you harder?
The first one.
The fact that you think you may have done something a little bit silly.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not horribly worried that I'm going to owe so much that it's going to bankrupt me. And I do have a good job, and I have pretty confidence that I can generate income. I may have to stop going out to fancy restaurants so much in order to pay my IRS bill, but that's down the road a ways.
Okay, so it sounds like you're looking at this as you're a competent person. You've always managed to do well, and right now you're facing something that the worst part about it is that you don't know what's going to happen, and you have no roadmap, and you have no way of preparing. And you're looking for someone as competent as you are, who's in this field, to be part of your team.
Yeah. But I also deep down inside, I recognize about myself and many of my peers that I'm a little bit hyper aggressive and I'm a risk taker, and now I'm worried that the risk, maybe some of the risks I've taken have been are going to come back and bite me in the butt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
all of which goes to mean that I'm in a pretty high state of anxiety.
Yeah, I can hear that.
So I'm really getting into this role.
Yeah, I hope Pete doesn't need a pill after this.
I'll be like one of those actors that takes 2 weeks to come down off of whatever the character that they last played was.
Right, like De Niro in Raging Bull gaining 70 pounds for the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're committed. I really appreciate your commitment. Okay, so I think we've got a pretty good picture. People, Dean is very impressed with your work, Pete. Dean is actually starting to raise money for your defense fund.
Oh, that's good. That's calming me down. How about some of the other people getting into that into that loop with Dean too?
All right, so let's take a look. Now that we did our little matrix dance, then we did a fairly significant avatar work. And Pete, hats off to you. You did a fantastic job of getting into this and really going with it. And I don't know at all what extent you've drawn from you and what you've just sort of channeled.
I've channeled most of it. I feel like I'm in a kind of a therapy session talking to my psychiatrist here, Howie.
Yeah, and that's the curious thing about this work is I don't know where it comes from. When you sort of just let yourself go, it's almost like you're not making it up because it would be too hard to make it up, but it's sort of, your intuition or something, some sort of sensory perception that we don't always have access to, if we just relax into it, produces really interesting stuff. So let's take a look back at this search results page and see, and let's everybody take a look through the eyes of John Reynolds and see, is anybody here talking to you? Does anyone here say anything that John would say, that's the one?
Well, do you want me to pipe in verbally or write?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I do think the second one down on the right is pretty.
Okay, undergoing a tax audit?
Yeah, undergoing a tax audit. Let our experts defend you. Free consultation today.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's probably one I might. I don't see a phone number there though, but I guess I'd click on their website and go from there.
Right. So that you'd click on that. Let our experts defend you. So Anna agrees that today is going to be a consultation. Today is going to be a big thing. Shane says that no one is addressing the fear enough, and Jeff adds that nobody's explicitly addressing your concerns. It's all implicit. So let's take a moment now and think about what if you had a company that helped people like John deal with this letter that just came and everything that's going to ensue from it, what would you write? Just come up with a headline or a phrase, something that you would put in on this page. If you could erase one of the ads and put in your own, that would just jump off the page and make John say, yes, that's what I want. This is the people I trust. So let's start and Pete, you can just throw things in. Everyone else, please sort of write them down. So Mukesh has IRS peace of mind today. Shane has let us do the worrying. Anna, let us take the stress out of your audit.
I like that one.
So yeah, now those are all the same, but they're different in interesting ways. So the top one, peace of mind today, is already jumping in with the solution. So that's an interesting, whether that works or not really depends on how identified you are, John, with your anxiety. If you're highly identified with it, then a solution is actually going to irritate you.
I didn't understand that, Howie.
Okay. Certain times, if you have a problem and then someone says, I have a solution, you're cool with that. It's like, great, I need some deck screws, 3.5-inch deck screws, galvanized. Oh, I got a bucket. Oh, great, thanks. You're not identified with the problem. The problem doesn't say anything about you as a person. It doesn't affect your self-identity, your sense of self. There are other problems though that you identify with so deeply, like I just may have screwed up on my taxes. So what I hear is, from my favorite TV show, Arrested Development, I hear Joe Bluth going, I've made a big mistake. and at that point, if someone says, oh, I'll give you peace of mind, you're not ready for that. You're in some distress and you need to be heard first. You need someone to say, you're really worried about this, aren't you? So if you were on the couch as John and I was trying to help you, I would start not by saying, oh, I know a CPA, we can fix this. I would be very curious about the feelings, about what's going on for you in this situation. And some of those feelings, some of those things we did bring up in the questioning, just to get a sense of what are the stakes for you? What does this mean? What is this situation? What does the fact that you're in this situation tell you about yourself? And saying, I'll give you peace of mind is kind of shortcutting that. It's not what the person wants to hear at that moment.
No, now I understand. Yeah, it's unreal. it's unreal. How can somebody say, calm down or anything else without getting some information from you first? I mean,
Right.
it's an unreal answer.
Right. Don't tell me to calm down.
Yeah.
I'm holding on to my worry like a life preserver. It's the only thing that's keeping me sane right now. It's keeping me focused. Is this intense anxiety. Otherwise, I'd fall to pieces. So then, let us do the worrying is the same theme, but it's offering to transition it. Whereas let us take the stress out of your audit. So those two are slightly different depending on those are things I would test to see which one is John more likely to believe possible and more likely to want. So we've discovered that John is a competitor. He's fierce about this. So think about the archetype of the person who he wants to help him. It's not going to be Sigmund Freud. It's not going to be let us deal with your worries. It is going to be someone who's a grizzled warrior. Right? The archetype here is the old soldier. So how can you sound a little bit like an old soldier? Here's one from Roy. Afraid of an audit? We've been there. Don't know what's going to happen? We've been there. So those are examples of, right, the untested warrior is now going into battle with a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is the sort of message that John will resonate with. I don't think, a lot of people have done some great work here on empathy. And if you had chosen a different avatar, someone who is intensely self-critical, intensely self-aware, and remorseful, right? I don't hear remorse from you. I hear I may have overstepped it, but that's how it. Those are the odds. Those are the odds I took. I was a little surprised and glad to hear you weren't going to be bullied by me into feeling guilty over spending all your cash. Right? Because I would have said, "Oh, I feel so terrible now. I can't handle this because I've been so irresponsible." And if that had been your answer, then a lot of this sort of soft shoe empathy, would be very appreciated. You have things like, risky taxes, risky spending. You're not alone, or there are ways to turn this around, or things that would refer back to your childhood. Yes, you can manage money responsibly. Make your old man proud. Dig yourself out of this one. But that's not John.
No, I think another thing about John is he's used to in the kind of high stress work environment that he's in. He's used to putting out fires very frequently because they come up in the line of that kind of high intensity work, and so it's kind of like all of a sudden there's a fire and the anxiety level goes up, and immediately go into action to try to solve the problem, or at least start the process of putting out the fire. And I see him taking that same approach when he's looking for someone to help him put out his own personal fire here.
Yes. So he's looking for a certain type of quality. A certain more important to him is the personality of the person he's going to be working with, because he's worked IT for a lot of years, and there's a lot of people in that company that he's worked with that he would not trust with, to lend them his car for half an hour. And there's other people he'd trust with his life. And that's how John goes through life, evaluating people. How strong are they? How capable are they? Do they have my back? And he's looking for someone who's going to fill that role for him here. So Anna we can help you beat the tax man. Audits are routine. We do 20 a week. you will be safe with our CPAs. So something almost a little braggadocio to say, let's get this thing handled. You know, when you said putting out fires, I was thinking, you know, hosed by the IRS, we put out those fires every day.
I like that, hosed by the IRS. That's a good one.
Brad is channeling some testosterone here. Get the better of the IRS. You won, IRS nothing.
It's a good one too.
So there's a lot here, and a lot of it is based on sort of a sensitivity to the character. Some potential hypocrisy about his sort of conservative views on other people taking responsibility and him not taking responsibility for some of his decisions. But I think
we're all hypocrites.
Right, but I didn't feel it. I kind of wanted to go there, but it's not like he's not taking responsibility. He is in fact taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, you know, going forward, I can deal with this. There wasn't any issue of, oh, I want my BMW. I hope I don't have to sell it. I hope I still get to go out to 5-star restaurants. It was very matter of fact. I'll deal with this, like I've dealt with it, like I've dealt with everything else. So I felt a very sort of strong, focused, unconsidered life.
Yes.
And so, you know, we can think about what sorts of things would John say to himself if he were writing a diary entry about this, and can we just reflect those back to him? And they are going to be, I think, fairly testosterone-driven. And you know, I don't see anything here that really is much chest thumping. I think he needs some chest thumping here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that old soldier, and that what you said about there are people that he would trust where he works, he would trust with his life, and so somehow, I mean, I can see in this ad so far, you know, facing an IRS audit, don't panic, call us today. And then something in there that gets that old soldier, that testosterone strength, something you know, added to that, to put in that element.
Right.
I don't have the exact wording either, but
so Jeff's got another one. He's got "We've got your back."
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then I would think about something that involves social proof. Like some sort of mention of, you know, successful audits, percentage won. If there's anything you can put
great.
in. Yeah, go ahead.
That is really good and very appropriate to this particular client that I'm working with. I mean, because he's got an incredible statistic there. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I'm not sure if. No, I guess Phil is not on this one. I worked with Phil a few years ago on a very sort of complex product, and buried on page like 4 on their website, like it was 4 clicks deep, was this one statistic that was just amazing. Like if you just saw that, you'd go, oh my gosh, I want that. And so here is a case where if he's got a 93% win record in audits or in certain types of audits, like that should be the centerpiece of everything. Nothing else matters. Everything else is a detail.
Yeah.
So I would definitely get that in the ad and maybe in the headline. You know, whatever number it is, you know, 87% win rate over 23 years. You know, call the others, ask them what their number is. Something very sort of brash and challenging.
I think that gets it.
Could do well. Brad's got some more. He's still got the testosterone running. Don't roll over for the IRS.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one too.
Oh, can you feel the shame that he would feel in being bested by the government? A bunch of bureaucrats who couldn't make it in business, who are trying to redistribute his money.
Uh-huh.
Right? He could get onto a little bit of a self-righteous soapbox. Right? A little Tea Party action. They're stealing my money.
You're right.
And another one Brad has, we specialize in the tough cases. And
Yeah,
then
that's
he
a
puts
good one
numbers,
too.
average tax cut, $256,356. So these are excellent.
What was that last one, Howie? We specialize
In the tough cases.
in the tough cases. Okay.
All right, I'm looking at the clock, and I want to wrap this up quite soon. So just to show you what we did, we took a brief look at the search results page, and we made some tentative. We noticed some things with the help of the matrix. But we weren't that far along, and as Dean pointed out, who's looking at it? Then we created a real imaginary person to look at it, and all of a sudden everything came to life. All these other ads, we could see who they were talking to, where they were missing the mark, where they were inadequate, other things we could say. And at that point, we, as a group, brainstormed some wonderful stuff. And so the one thing you could say is, well, this is of limited value, right? Because I just made this up. It's not real. There is no John Reynolds. So to that, I have an answer, which is, yes, that's true. And there's still probably a lot of truth here. That wherever you got it from, we created someone who is internally consistent. Someone who we could all recognize, and maybe everybody on the call here knows someone like that, or knows a composite, but it's certainly someone believable. The second thing is, if you don't go for it, if you don't try to write your love letter to one person, if you're just writing a love letter to whom it may concern, then your ads sound like all the rest of these ads. And as Anna said, I'm overwhelmed. There's too many choices. It doesn't matter how many listings there are if there's a good one. It only matters that there's so many choices when we can't decide, when there's nothing that stands out for us. So this is the way to rise above that mediocrity of most of the other ads that you see here. And the third thing is, who cares if we got it wrong? We can just test it. We can throw up 10 different ads and see which ones get some traction. And we can decide, you know what, John isn't the avatar after all. You could create 4 different avatars and write an ad for each of them, and then see, well, who is actually searching? What are they like? What does matter to them? And and the more you know about the market, and by talking to your client, you'll find out kind of who the people are. What are they like? He may not have. He knows this stuff. He may not have categorized it. He may not be able to tell you off the top of your head. If you say, "What are your clients like?" he may not come up with any of these, archetypes or character types. But if you ask him, he'll say, "Oh yeah, they're mostly like this. They come in. They're, the ones I like are the ones who aren't tail tucked. They're ready to fight." That might be his ideal customer, is the ones who are ready to fight, as opposed to the ones who are just looking for him to save them, sniveling little. All right, so you have to think about the personality of the client. Who does your client want to attract, and that will help determine what kind of ads you write. So that is one little piece of Checkmate. And what that gives you is, because you get more of the clicks you want, you get a higher click-through rate for those clicks. You get a higher visitor value because the people who come to your landing page are already predisposed. So if your landing page message matches that ad, and it's continuing, so let's say if it's a very sort of testosterone competition old soldier website, and I took a brief look at the website, and the guy definitely looks like someone who could be out there slugging. He's 40 years experience, and he's got that great graphic with the red slash in the middle. So I think that could definitely play right into that, which means a lower cost per lead or sale because you're weeding out the people who shouldn't be clicking, and which means higher profits, which means more money to spend on clicks, which means you get better position, you can afford better position, you can afford more keywords, more expensive keywords, and that means you get more traffic, which means you get to do more testing, which means it turns into a virtuous cycle for you and a vicious cycle for your competitors, and that's where I can finally come in with a little bit of a testosterone-driven message myself and say, checkmate. This is what domination consists of. It consists of empathizing so deeply with your prospect that you are able to say things to them that other people can't say or don't know how to say, and you're able to serve them in ways that really meet their needs, the needs of their personality and the worries and fears and aspirations that they bring with them. So this is really a way to enter the mind of your market. If you could figure out what they really want, what would that do for you? So Pete, I'd love to get a quick sense from you on whether this was valuable and in what ways you hope to use it.
No, it was extremely valuable because I've been going round and round trying to figure out. I look at all these ads on these pages and I kind of try to figure out, okay, who's saying something that kind of resonates with me, but it's all kind of a vague jumble of different, mostly boring ads on these search result pages. But I haven't on my own come up with a way to focus in on and sort of analyze what it is I'm really looking at. And just going through this process today was incredibly fascinating. Because like you said in your last point, that you could, I could now set up in my mind a couple of different avatars and then go through the same analysis that we just went through with the avatar that I set up here, and I would get an idea of some, different, like you said, different types of potential clients and how to target ads towards them. So it was really helpful, very insightful for me.
I'm very glad to hear that. So I'm going to mosey into my pitch for Virtual Camp Checkmate and ask folks, what would happen if we applied a similar process to landing page headlines, landing page copy, objections that John Reynolds would have, the things he'd want to know, his doubts and fears about whether he would hire you or not, how you could deploy testimonials to handle those objections, and so on. And I'm wondering, for everyone listening, do you think you could get similar results, similar insights that give you a positive and confident way forward in marketing, whereas before things had just looked like I can't find a way in. It's almost like you're in a bicycle race. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. You're in the bicycle leg of a triathlon, and you just can't find a hole. You could ride faster than these people, but you just can't figure out a way to get around them.
You can't break out, yeah. Can't break out of the pack, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my new metaphor for today. This is a method of breaking out of the pack when you have the stamina and the ability to do so. When you have a message that's worth hearing, when you have a product that is worthy of attention. How do you break out of the pack without just sounding like everybody else? So that's what Virtual Camp Checkmate is dedicated towards. It starts on November 6th, and it runs for 7 weeks through December 18th. And my promise is 7 weeks that will totally transform your business, because we apply this process to everything in the marketing funnel. And so the syllabus consists of an entire week on the matrix, in which we really go through, and we just spent a couple of minutes on the matrix today. We didn't even get to a couple of the columns. But a week on this will give you a way in 5 minutes to assess any search results page, and in fact, any competitive advertising medium. Wherever there's a bunch of messages struggling to be heard over the din, the matrix, you'll learn how to use it, to go in and within 5 minutes to see exactly what the market is saying, what the dominant themes are, what the holes are, where the opportunities are, before we even get to the avatar. And you might think I'd start with the avatar, and I've thought about that, but I've always found that starting with the matrix itself is more valuable, because you'll immediately start seeing little holes. And when the avatar then comes next, which we're doing the second week, where everyone's going to get what Pete got today, a real living, breathing avatar, that when you put those two together, you immediately start seeing ad copy that can transform the lead generation end of the business. In the next week, we're going to look at search triggers and landing page headlines. And I mentioned briefly, and it turned out, Pete, that you found it helpful, was this idea of the old soldier. So that's based on hero's journey work, which is a basic sort of philosophy of the arc of a human life, based on the work of Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung, that we're all on a hero's journey, and that we all have symbols that we're attracted to on that journey. And one of the most important symbols is the mentor, the one who takes us from the ordinary world and gives us that confidence and that push to do something extraordinary. And different people on different journeys have different mentors. So we're going to look at how the search trigger, the thing that triggered the search, connects to landing page headlines. And the headline is itself an ad for your mentor, the person who's going to empower you to handle this issue, this problem. Week 4, we're going to look at fears and doubts and objections. And the model here is that those fears, doubts, and objectives have nothing to do with you as the advertiser, as the merchant. They have everything to do with your prospect's prior experience and how they project that prior experience onto you. In other words, what your business, what your situation reminds them of. And so if you just look for objections based on your business, you're not going to find the important ones. Then in week 5, we're going to take those objections and show how testimonials, honestly, honorably crafted testimonials from people who actually have used your stuff and are grateful, how those testimonials can answer objections better than anything else you could do. So it's a way of framing testimonials, displaying them, that immediately handles the present objections that are going to block the sale. Week 6 is the ultimate testing plan, where we've already come up with maybe a dozen or 24 different ads for people to test just based on one avatar. And when you do this and you come up with 3 or 4 or 5 avatars and you've got all these different options, you could easily get overwhelmed with just, how do I test them? So I will share with you and help you lay out for yourself a sort of paint-by-numbers plan to test which ads when, to do it as efficiently, as quickly as possible. And the final week is an 80-20 checkmate process, whereby you put in 20% of the effort and get 80% of the results. That's why I also call it quick and dirty. It's a wonderful, quick technique that, especially if you're working with clients and it just doesn't make financial sense for you to go through the whole checkmate process with them, but you could spend 20 minutes, half an hour on this and get really good results that you then build on. Because again, everything with AdWords is iterative. You test it, and all we're looking for is breakthrough ideas. We're looking for new ideas, because just having enough new ideas, we'll start seeing patterns and we'll start finding the winners. A couple words about how Virtual Camp Checkmate is structured. I'm very proud of the way I've built this, which is to give you as little as possible. And that may sound strange, but what I mean by that is I don't want to give you a giant box full of FUD, like 7 binders, 24 DVDs, 19 hours of MP3. I've really tried to keep it as small as possible so that each week, if you're reading or watching something, it's just maybe 15 to maximum 45 minutes, short bits, to just give you what you need to do the next thing. And rather than do it like this over a lecture, a live lecture with me talking and everyone listening, it's all recorded so you can watch it at your own pace. You hold the remote. You can speed up, you can slow down, you can pause and go to the bathroom, you can listen to something 2 or 3 times. There's no frustration because I'm going at a pace that's bad for you, or I've just said something and you want to ask a question and I don't have the facility to monitor all the questions and do all that. Second part is homework, and because the course is developed for mastery, you're going to be doing some practice, and half of the practice will be group activities on a fictitious business so you can get the hang of it. And once you feel comfortable with that, you're going to do it on your own business as well. So I think it's important to have both, so you're not, a complete amateur trying something new for your business and not getting feedback on whether you've nailed it well enough. And then the tumblers are what I'm calling the live classes, and they're based on a learning model that I discovered from a Harvard physics professor named Eric Mazer called peer interaction. And we're using this wonderful software called Maestro Conference. We're going to get into breakout sessions, and people are going to work in small groups on everyone's marketing funnels. And as opposed to just sort of sitting and listening, you're going to be very active. So only sign up for this if that's okay with you. If you feel like you have something to contribute and you're willing to show up and give and get feedback. So the guarantee, I really want to fill this class. I really want excited, happy, hungry people in it. And so all I can say is I don't know if it's right for you or not, but if it's not, I give you your money back. That's the only way I can sell as hard as I need to fill an online course. This is obligating me to deliver. It doesn't obligate you to anything. Except your part of the bargain, which I'm going to give you in advance, is to show up, participate, be open to new ideas, be willing to share ideas with others. We've seen both of those modeled beautifully on this call. Then it's game on. The place to go to register is campcheckmate.com. That will redirect you to the right page. A lot of people have experienced this. About 50 people have taken the full-on 2-day course, and about 1,000 people have done some version of this work live, and many more thousands have done it on webinars. And I have gotten some testimonials from people whose work I really admire, whose opinions I really respect. And I'll sort of fast forward through them because I'm hoping that the real demonstration of value has been the last hour, and not just someone else's words. So it costs $997, and that's actually going to be true starting on November 1st. I still have an early bird thing going, and of course, whenever you have an early bird pricing that's so much lower than the full pricing, I fully intend to finish selling before November 1st. So there's an early bird special of 3 payments of $197. That's $197 a month for 3 months for a total of $591. And actually, if you do it in one lump sum, it's only $574, and that is good until midnight, October 31st, Halloween night at the stroke of midnight. Because after that, there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting everything ready, into getting everyone ready, and it really is worth it for me. That 300 plus bucks is almost 400 is worth it for me just to have everything taken care of in advance of the course, so I don't have to keep on registering people and sending emails and setting things up. As I said, there's not going to be any huge pile of stuff. There's no bonus ebooks, PDFs, old MP3s, because I really want you to focus on Checkmate and stay focusing on this work. So if you're in a competitive market and there's other people that you're interested in competing against, that signal to noise ratio is very low. There's a lot of noise and nobody's getting through. If doubling your sales is worth more than you pay for the course, if you're willing to give and receive feedback, and if you're available at this time of the week, I'm doing it twice on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern. And you've got to be fascinated by human nature, because if you found this boring, you're going to find 7 weeks of it extremely boring. The payment timetable is your first payment is when you sign up, and then 30 days and 30 days from that. So I came up with a couple of bonuses, and then I decided I just have to give them to everyone because I can't not. So these are bonuses that you get no matter when you sign up. One of them is crafting your unique selling proposition and doing it naturally. So a lot of people, when they teach the USP, they'll give you an example like Domino's Pizza or FedEx, and then let's say, now you do one. And we kind of come up with it. We gamely try, but it feels like a Franken USP. It's something bolted on. It's not organic to our business. After 7 weeks of Camp Checkmate, this will feel very organic to start considering what is my real unique selling proposition and how can I put that into an ad and put it into a sentence and put it into when I shake hands at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, so that immediately I'm telling people how I'm different and who I serve. That can be very, very powerful when it's done naturally. And the second is visionary business improvement. We haven't talked at all today about writing strategic ads that give you a different offer or a different way of slicing the offer. But that's another thing that happens a lot is when we do avatar work and matrix work, is we start seeing other possible ways of structuring our business that our ideal customer would prefer. And of course, if we write those ads, but we don't actually put them in place in our business, we're missing out. So this is about taking this process and extending it beyond the exterior to the very interior reality of the business. And if you sign up before 11/1, that's in 2 days, today or tomorrow, you also get 3 months of support following the course in a secret, super secret Facebook group. And I'm also going to hold 3 coaching calls, 1 each month. And I'm not going to prepare. You guys are going to prepare questions and come, and we're going to, if you have a new client and you want to do this for them, or you've been trying something and you're stuck on an issue, bring it to the coaching sessions, and we will deal with as many as we have time for. Again, it's campcheckmate.com. The final bonus, if you sign up today, because I know there's something magical about not waiting even 24 hours for taking action. At some point in the next few months, I am going to be releasing a product that I've been working on called the 7 Metaphor Tools. And my products have a tendency to morph into really big things. Like I think they're going to be like a $27, webinar, transcript, PDF, a couple of tools, and they tend to get bigger. I'm hoping to keep this one on the smaller side, but I can't tell at this point. But it's an addition, an addendum to Checkmate that uses metaphors as a way of coming up with 7 types of creative ads for any situation. And if you sign up today, you will get that when I'm done with it. And I'm committing to by February 2013, which will be just in time after the 7 weeks, after the bonus webinars in January, and then this will be taking it to a whole new level. So that's all I got. If there are questions, I would love to field them. If you can type a question about the course itself. I see a question about a barter system. I don't really want to do barter, but I'm open to I'm open-minded. So if the person who wrote that wants to email me, Howie@askhowie.com, and tell me what you suggest, I don't want people to not be able to take advantage of this because I'm being too rigid. So if you have something you think will work, let me know. I think the prices that I've listed feel very reasonable to me, and they feel like a good representation of the value that I provide and want to provide. But don't think of John Reynolds. He would ask. So I don't see any questions. I'll wait another few seconds. All right, well, you can always ask me, Howie@askhowie.com. I think this is the most important work I do in business. I think it's the most valuable, and I really urge you, if you're on the fence, give it a try. The worst that can happen is you attend one class, decide you made a mistake, and get your money back. But if you like this and you think this is valuable, the way the class is set up is going to be, in my estimation, much better, much more effective, much more group interaction rather than just one person and everybody else typing. So, Pete, thank you so much for playing, for going all in your characterization of John.
Well, thank you for allowing me the chance to do that. I really got a lot out of it.
I'm so glad. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for typing in answers and coming up with such great stuff. As you can see, the principle of the mastermind is very much alive in Checkmate. It's not me being brilliant. It's everyone together, being brilliant and building off of everyone else's brilliance. So I appreciate the efforts you guys put in. And I'll just say, if you did such a good job, it'd be a shame not to keep doing it starting next week on Virtual Camp Checkmate. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. and talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.